Let's dive into Colorado's run game. Before, I want to get your take on Marshall Faulk taking over as Colorado's running back coach and your thoughts on that. But before I get your take, I want to show Marshall Faulk talking about Colorado's run game. Take a listen.
If you're not trying to improve, then you're getting worse. Even if I came in here and we were coming off being, top 10, top 5, I'm still looking at where can we improve. That's the idea, and that's the mindset that we have to have. And that's what we want to instill in the football players that we bring in here and that we coach. I don't care how good you are. It's how much better can we make you? Where can you get better? And if that's all you do is focus on the things that you do well, then you're not improving. I got to take your weakness and turn it into a strength. And that's the idea of what we want to do. And
Phil Dukes, what are your thoughts on Marshall Faulk taking over as Colorado's running back coach and the impact that'll have on Colorado's run game in general?
Man, I think that there are some things that aren't on the surface that are really impactful that Marshall Faulk is going to be able to help with. One of those things being his familiarity with the offense, or with Pat Shermer's offense, as Pat Shermer is a disciple of the Air Coryell system, where you're going to have to, where running backs have to do more than just run the ball, and they have to be effective in multiple phases of the game. Well, for somebody who understands, because they understand the base terminology, and as Matt knows, and you know as well, there's only a few schools of thought when it comes to defense and offense. After that, it's either the same terminology, it's not no 7-2 defense. It's either gonna be 4-3-3-4 base. There's not a ton of schemes that you run. But having familiarity with the terminology and what do you do against certain fronts, that's what makes the difference. So Marshall Faulk, if let's think about, let's break it down. Let's say, what do people like to run against cover 2? There may be a cover 2, more so of a Tampa 2. One offensive guy say, you know what? As soon as we see Tampa 2, we want to go straight bubble, straight tunnel. We want to get a block on that up cornerback. Well, that's his mentality of his offensive scheme. You're going to have guys who want to get down the field. They're going to say, I want to run smash. Every time we see that look, I want to run smash. So having a running backs coach who already knows what the ideology is between what happens when you get certain fronts, that's going to pay off huge when you got a guy who hasn't coached on a college level before, who's already familiar with the offensive strategy or the offensive schematics that go along with Pat Shermer's system. First and foremost, I thought that was the most important. Secondly, I think for Marshall Faulk to have the eye that he has to do what he's been able to do, to play with the players that he's been able to play with, and for him to come in and assess Colorado's running back room with a set of fresh eyes and say, you know what, this guy was used like this, but I would have used him this way. This guy catches the ball a lot better than he may have been given credit for. Let's put him in these situations. And if you notice, there wasn't a huge, you haven't heard a whole lot about Colorado running back recruiting right now. And that's because they wanted Coach Faulk to get in and see what his type of guy was going to be. And even as I talked to different teams about needs and what they may be going after in the transfer portal in the spring, running back in Colorado hasn't been something I've been hearing a ton about. I think they could add a back, possibly, but it's not one of those things that you absolutely know that Colorado is going to go look for in the spring portal, because Marshall Faulk likes what he has, and I think that's super important to bring in a guy who knows what he knows, his knowledge, his wisdom, to be able to come in and assess the running back room and get the most out of it.
Have you ever seen a staff like this in your entire life? I mean, Andre Gerard joining now in the offensive line, a guy I played with, one of my best friends, Coach Faulk, Coach Sapp, Pecco, Coach Prime, Lindgren. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The guys that we haven't even brought up that are NFL veterans all over the facility. It's now, the Colorado Buffaloes are NFLU, bro. This is what it is. I mean, why wouldn't you go there if you're a kid? You've got to look at them seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, name another staff in college football that you can literally take the logo off and put a pro team's logo on and it still be the same.
I can.
You can remove the C, no disrespect to any team in the NFL, but I wouldn't have any pause if I said, you know what, let's take whatever team, the Raiders, whoever it was, and you just put that logo and you have those same names on that team's website. You don't feel a kind of way about it. I can't say that about another team in the entire college football, the entire FBS. You cannot say that about another team. So if I'm recruiting, that's what I say. I'm leading with that. I'm like, all right, look, let's close your eyes and let's take the black and gold off and let's make it the silver and blue, or let's make it the black and red for the Falcons. Literally, it's people in Atlanta right now that would say, you know what, give us that whole staff right now. So I think that's something that you got to lead with. And I think that if someone, and for all the kids that I mentor that are interested in Colorado, I tell that's one of the things I say. I mean, how serious are you about your dreams? Because if you're really serious about the NFL, why wouldn't you want to go get it from somewhere where you're going to have this amount of talent? Now, that's not to say that there isn't going to be other places, but if you're going to go across the country, you got to make a smart decision. And I want you to, when we Venn diagram all the pluses and minuses and everything that can go right, Colorado and that coaching staff is one of the things that always rises to the top. So I think, from my perspective of being on both sides of it, I think there's not a lot more that you can ask for from that coaching staff.